I have been absent. My apologies. I've been sick. This is how that felt. Still not 100%, but we're getting there. That's all that matters. There's a lot of stories, a lot of things that I do want to talk about, but Kagurabachi is cooking. There's a lot of great things in here, a lot of questionable things as well that I'm interested in seeing how the author will perhaps play on it, how they envision it, how they plan to expand further. Does that make sense? Firstly, I think Hirohiko is his name. As a villain, could be very interesting. Perhaps something that continues to escalate over time, perhaps something that continues to chase Chihiro and his group. I think there's a lot of personality coming out to play, a lot of identifiable traits that make him engaging and interesting enough as a character to continue him further. In a way, being as identifiable as someone like Sojo, for example. We don't want to overlap. Of course, we don't want the same characters back to back to back, and so far, we haven't. Hirohiko is fascinating, and a character I could see becoming more problematic over time. They are strong, they are fast, they're someone with experience, they are someone that was not part of the original group that killed Chihiro's father, so they're a little bit different, and yet still incredibly problematic. I like this. It's a nice groundwork, a nice setup to really take the character anywhere and everywhere. Realistically, the author could just kill them off. Goodbye, see you later. However, on the off chance, we could continue further, put more time, more energy, more effort into him, and really turn them into a problem. I like their ability too, very simple so far. And I was a little bit confused because I was like, okay, previously we've seen all the glass shatter. We find out he has this blood crane manipulation thing that he does, and it looks like it's with paper. But then I thought, is it with glass? But then I thought, that's kind of silly. It'd just be paper, right? Shards of paper that he carries around, that he turns into cranes and then throws them in the air. Very straightforward. Almost doesn't even seem menacing. Doesn't seem difficult, but I imagine perhaps there's a lot more to it. A lot more that can be explored at least, right? Interestingly enough, one of the key showcases of this chapter is showing how worthless a lot of the underling Hishaku members are. Are they really Hishaku members? More like henchmen, peasants, really. A way this is done is by having Hirohiko use his ability and throwing it through one of his henchmen. I would assume that the Hishaku have a really big and expanding operation that a lot of people really want to be a part of. However, to kind of throw them to the wolves that easily, to kill them that quickly, to use them to your advantage when they're on your side, seems a little bit odd, and maybe more so in terms of being characterized to the individual that wants to do it. What I mean by this is that as much as the author currently is making the underling Hishaku seem incredibly expandable, it'd be very unwise for them to treat them like that, especially if you need these people to run the Datanseki stones. These are your bread and butter, and while the Datanseki stone being wielded is basically death in itself, you still need the numbers to back up a viable option. So you can't invade a fortress if you don't have the people you need to sacrifice themselves because you're out here killing them every single chance that you get. Do you see the kind of bigger issue here? What does that mean? Well, maybe just the fact that Hirohiko is a bit of a psychopath and that he doesn't care or view life that way. Funny enough, the two definitely overlap, but I think more independently on Hirohiko's side is that he dragged all of the people that meant something to Uraha to their location, just to show him, just to get him annoyed, just to throw him off. That's how little care Hirohiko has for life, and probably thinking, of course, that makes sense. Why would they care for life? Why would they care for their enemies? And you are right, but showcasing the range of those psychopathic tendencies, I think does a lot to build really interesting characters, and Hirohiko is starting to become a fascinating one. In saying that, there is a beautiful sense of camaraderie within here. Seeing Chihiro, Uraha, and Hakuri kind of oddly work hand in hand with each other is nice. It's not seamless, it's not smooth sailing, it's very abrupt and sporadic, but there is plan, there is motion. There is an idea at play, especially between Chihiro and Hakuri, which I think is rather cute. There's also a really nice sense of personality reinforcement from Uraha. So Chihiro can't really fight properly in this train, not because of the surrounding, but because he's trying to protect Uraha while also trying to attack. They are quite literally opposite things. To fully, comfortably protect Uraha, you have to play defensively. To fight the people that are in front of you, you have to play offensively. So the things clash together and it builds a bit of a problem for Chihiro, especially because Hakuri can't really fight as of yet. Uraha, on the other hand, I don't think should be underestimated. That reinforcement that comes across is from Uraha basically telling Chihiro, get out, do what you need to do, fight this man however you want to fight him. Don't worry about me, don't worry about Hakuri, just do what you gotta do. That type of reinforcement is really positive, it's really well portrayed, it's simple, straight to the point, but nice, energetic, it feels passionate, and perhaps that's how it's meant to come across, especially with Uraha's connection with Chihiro's father and believing in him, having that type of faith, bringing it across to Chihiro in the exact same manner, having faith that Chihiro will be able to do what he needs to do on his own. In an instant that Uraha says this, Chihiro and hirohiko are out the window of this train. They're gone completely. It is indeed a bit of a gamble to leave the person that you're meant to protect on a moving train with someone that can't really utilize their abilities. However, it is a gamble that has to be taken. We get another mention and a very detailed version of the type of power that's currently being split between both sides. This happened in the previous chapter and also happened in the chapter before that. Perhaps the reason the author is continuing to supply this type of information in different perspectives is to really give us a good understanding, a good foothold in where all of the power sits currently. But then again, it's ever changing, and I still think is very much undetermined. So while it comes across being concrete and evident that the power is split evenly, I don't actually believe it to be that simple. The best reasoning I can give this is the stones. The Datanseki stones are unpredictable. Chihiro knows this, and the Hishaku know this, and they use that to their advantage. The problem is, you don't know how many stones there is. Chihiro and the Kabunabi don't know how many stones there is. So how could they say that the power is split evenly just based on the usage of those stones, when in actuality, the amount of stones would be much more viable for them to understand? The key difference, sure, you can understand how the stones work and the fact that they're sacrificial and they're short-lived, but on the other hand, if you don't know how many stones there are, you could constantly be bombarded by 100, 500, 1,000 plus people that have short-lived stones. Do you see the problem? There's a very big difference in the split evenly power dynamic as currently being showcased. So I'm thinking that it's kind of more of a cop-out that is a little bit more intricate and ever-changing than the author is actually implying. So it creates a sense of uneasiness. The more you think about where the power sits, the more comfortable you get, but then you start to see the cracks and flaws in the plans, especially when you think about the quote-unquote big hitters that the Hishaku have. They don't even know how many Hishaku members there are. They don't even know their names, they don't know their abilities, they don't know nothing about them. If anything, perhaps the Hishaku are in a much better position. They have more power, they have more hitters, they have more stones, they have more ways to get into a fortress, and that's all they need to do. The more that I think about it, the more that I feel that saying that your power is split evenly, even when one of your fortresses has just been obliterated by only one Hishaku named member that wasn't a part of the original group that you seen kill your father, that used a handful of stones to basically glass cannon the thing, killed all of the strongest people within there, and still thinking that you guys are split evenly is very much problematic. I think this is on purpose, because the mention of the two enchanted blades would actually maybe bring it up to a deadlock. The emphasis is that it's the opposite, that adding two swords would break the deadlock, but I don't believe it to be that easy, and it's for the reasons that I just mentioned. They really know nothing about the Hishaku, how they operate, how much power or abilities or understanding of utilage the Datanseki stones have, so I don't think the Hishaku is as undervalued or underappreciated or underpowered as one might think. Perhaps a really good showcase of that is the ending of this chapter and the outcome that's going to come from it. So Chihiro is in a 4v1 situation. Hirohiko in front of him, and then surrounding him, he has 3 Dantenseki stones. Now, it is emphasized that these people before did not have the stone and that they were basically on death's door. It's important to note that the stone brought them back. Not from death technically, but allowed them to get up and continue fighting. So more information is coming out about the Dantenseki stone. I don't think they're really going to be much of an issue if Chihiro can get to the body first. I'd assume the Dantenseki stone is going to heal and try and do its best to be defensive around the body of its host, but more than likely it's just going to eradicate and become unstable. Hirohiko is the problem. Confident, cocky, and intelligent. Chihiro is confident that he can win this fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has to escape, if he has to backpedal away from this situation. Mostly because I think Hirohiko is a lot more of a problem than we are led on to believe, and I also think that the named Hishaku members are the bigger issue. So sure, we have all the henchmen using the Dantenseki stone, but someone like Hirohiko being part of the actual group itself, so far from what we've seen, they are all issues. They're not easy to kill, they're not easy to get rid of, and right now Chihiro is fighting against the clock. He cannot let Uraha get too far away. The more that I think about him explaining it that way, the more I think Chihiro is going to be on his own for a little bit, and that he might not actually have an easy time with this fight. Even though it's led down the path to make you believe it's going to be pretty simple because he's confident, I don't really know. But that's the purpose of this fight, to kind of get a better grasp of not only the Dantenseki stones and how they're utilized, but also this brand new Hishaku member, Hirohiko. Where do all these powers sit? What is the scaling for this? How disproportionate or equal is it? That's what we need to know, and that's probably what we're going to get. Also, lastly, we have a name for John Hishaku. He's constantly being called Yura now, or you can keep calling him John, as entirely up to you.